Hello YouTube. So I've done a connecting a BMS to a 16S pack. Now here's connecting a BMS to a 24S pack. So 16S is about 66 volts, 24S is about 100 volts, and you'll see on the LCD on this smart BMS that it says 98.2 volts. And let me connect up my multimeter here. So there is a 5.5 millimeter bullet up underneath there. That is the P- connection out of the BMS, and my meter says 98.1. Just a second ago it said 98.2 volts. Close enough. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about disconnecting this smart BMS. So the first things first is this one has a power button. So I'm going to turn the BMS off first, and I'll see that because the LCD will go out. I just hold the button, there we go. So that went out, and there's also a little tiny LED up underneath here that also goes out. So now I want to disconnect the number 6 connector first, and I'm working down from 6 down to 1 and all my connectors. So 6 means whatever the highest number is. It could be 4, it could be 6, it could be 600, it doesn't really matter. The highest number is your highest pack, or highest battery pack in the whole series. So that's what 6 is. And then here is number 5, same thing, disconnect. Number 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. So there is all of my balance leads off the battery pack, or off the BMS rather, disconnected from the battery pack. And the last thing over here, this is my negative wire from the battery pack itself going into the BMS. So that makes this connection over here P-, and I have a 5.5 millimeter bullet on there that I could pull out and plug back in again if I wanted. So that would be the last thing I would disconnect, is that black wire off of there. And then when I want to connect again, that would be the first thing I'd plug back in, and then I'd work through these 1, 2, 6. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So anyway, here is connector 1, and there's connector 1. Oops, I'm in my own way. There's connector 1 off the battery pack. So 1, and then here is number 2 balance lead from the BMS, and here is number 2 from the battery pack. Same thing. Plug that in. And here is number 3 from the BMS, and here is number 3 from the battery pack. Plug that in. Here is number 4 from the BMS, and number 4, in my own way again of course, number 4 from the battery pack. And 5 and 5 and 6 and 6. Okay, so this LCD, it has this red wire right here, which for this demonstration I'm just temporarily putting it in the number 6 connector. So this red wire right here is the positive most end of the battery pack, just like this main power wire is the positive end of the battery pack. There is electrically no difference, and that's how this LCD measures pack voltage, and also how the LCD powers itself. So I'm going to stick that down in here. Hope it'll stay put. Okay. And then here is my little power button. Hit that little guy, hold it down for a couple seconds, and there's a little tiny LED right down in here that lights up. Tells me that's on. Hit the button on the LCD, and you can see it's lighting up. And let me go through these screens here. There we go. So it says 98.2 volts. My multimeter leads are still plugged in, so let me turn the meter back on, and it says 98.2 volts. So there you go. That was unplugging and plugging in a BMS, in this case a 24S BMS, into a battery pack in the correct order to do it in. So number 6 in this case is the high side of the battery pack, in other words, where the main power lead comes out. And number 1 is the low side, in other words, the negative end of the battery pack, which goes into the BMS. And then the P- side coming out of the BMS is then your new negative side of the whole pack, including the BMS. And you want to connect things when you're disconnecting. You want to go from high to low, and when you're connecting, you want to go from low to high. And it doesn't matter if it's a smart BMS 24S. I could do this on a 12S BMS. I could do this on a 1000S BMS. It wouldn't matter. You always do things in that order. When disconnecting, go from high to low, and when connecting, go from low to high. That's it.